Welcome to the Four Peaks Parents Podcast with Thomas Miller. Are you tired of your tween, teen, or young adults' dysfunctional behaviors holding you emotionally hostage, controlling your family, and ruling your life? Do you feel like you're riding an emotional roller coaster every time you walk into your house? If you answered yes, then you're in the right place. This podcast is a community for courageous parents just like you who come here to gain effective tools, skills, learn concrete action steps, and take power back so they can change their tween, teen, or young adult's life and change their family's future. So whether you listened to the last episode or not, I'll give you a quick little reminder. So we talked about the circle of control, and whether you did your circle or not, it's okay. All those parents out there who actually did their circle, you get 3 gold stars. Good job. This is where we insert, right, clapping sounds, I think. I don't know. Maybe we don't. But at any rate, so I hope, as I said in the last episode, that you fill the outside of the circle. And just to be clear, the exercise is you just take out an old school sheet of paper, you draw a circle in the middle, and you write down all the things outside of your control on the outside. And I'm sure there's names in there too that we don't have to say. It could be, the neighborhood kid or the bully or the this or the that, or, oh my God, that parent down the block who is the most laissez-faire parent in the world, and that's where all the keggers happen, basically in their basement, right? There's always that parent, unfortunately, in every community, right? That's going to basically try to undermine so much of the stuff that you're trying to do. You might be divorced, right? And there might be a co-parent situation, divorced or not divorced, right? Co-parenting is super freaking hard, and what's out of your control certainly is your co-partners, right, perspective on parenting, right? We could definitely talk in future episodes about, oh my God, feeling like you're the heavy, and what does that mean, and how do you entice and motivate, right, your co-parent to kind of create a healthy, collective, more united front, so you're not getting so split. So again, if you filled in your circle, good job. If you didn't, you could do this out loud, kind of metaphorically, as you're driving or doing your thing, as you're listening to this podcast. But a lot of families, as I was intimating in the last episode, they stare at the circle of control for like what feels like an eternity, and they're like, "There's nothing in my control," right? Because again, their child might have a PhD in button pushing. If you have a child who has that, my heart goes out to you. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about, right? You know who you are. And also one quick little thing, I hear this all the time from families, they'll talk about their child who's on the autistic spectrum, or their child, right, who might have dyslexia or might have OCD or whatever that is. Those are real organic, right, diagnoses, and we can definitely do deeper dives into, again, even psych testing and all kinds of different differential diagnoses for everybody in the future. However, just because your child has a situation that's challenging, and we should flow tons of empathy and compassion their way, it doesn't mean they can't be manipulative people, right? They're not mutually exclusive. So as we think about your circle, whatever it looks like, and it might be unique, either on the outside or the inside, let's start looking at really what we can do, okay? So if you wrote in your circle of control, yelling, right? Takes one to know one, right? I've been there, right? That is, believe it or not, something that we can control. That might have been, again, a default setting in your family of origin. We're going to talk more about that as well, because so often the norms that we've had from our childhood often basically drive the bus in terms of how we parent. So we have to take a hard look at that and kind of scrape away some of the norms that didn't work for us and really look at how we can shift and create new norms in our household. So yelling is a choice, right? And think about it. If your child is escalating you, it's called the escalation principle. It's only a matter of time before you get escalated as well. And then guess what? We're all yelling. And then you're probably leaving that interaction not feeling so hot about yourself, probably feeling a little guilty, and most likely going to turn a blind eye and not hold them accountable because you have that internal push-pull around feeling like a hypocrite. So what can you do there, right? Let's talk about that. It could be as simple as taking space. Believe it or not, taking space for a parent that's often overly reactive and a little keyed up and views everything as a nail is a really good tact. Now, you have to make sure you're bringing value beyond just simply taking space. That can't be the catch-all, but that's a nice little new shift. It changes the dynamic because your brain and your child's brain is hardwired for that, what's called dyad. That's a dynamic between two. And so there's already this like rubber stamping that's happened from a neural pathway standpoint, where each of you are already keyed up and expecting that reaction. So that would be amazing, taking space. For the next parent, that tends to exit stage left and tends to maybe allow their child to colonize too much space and kind of run roughshod all over them. Maybe pushing in is a new choice. Maybe being a little more proactive and directive, that's a new choice, right? Tact and tone, right? Let's talk about that. That's a choice, right? How do we be mindful of our verbal and nonverbal, right? Our child might be a debater. Do you debate with a debater? Hell to the no, right? Hell nah, right? No way, right? Because the debater thrives on debating. And as you're debating, they're gaining more and more and more power. Do you have a time controller in your hand? What the heck is that, you might be asking? If you know, you know. Time controller is a kiddo who's going to power struggle and push back around every single freaking ritual, whether that's brushing their teeth, getting to bed, showering, oh my God, you name it, homework, right? They thrive on that. So not engaging there and using words like you can either do this or this happens in either or, really effective. And we're going to spend a lot more time on some behavioral prompting strategies that can really create a powerful shift and a reset in your dynamic. But giving an either or, giving a clear choice, right? You can either this or that, right? Before you brush your teeth, right? This needs to happen. Or after you brush your teeth, then yes, you can jump on whatever, right? Fortnite, Roblox, whatever we're talking about, or read, or whatever that thing is, whatever that incentive is. So offering incentives, offering clear choices, those are things in our control. Believe it or not, playing with your kids is in our circle. I'm a busy guy, for sure. You're all busy. I get it. It's this. The struggle of the juggle is real. It is. And we're all walking in, usually not at 100%. However, getting on the floor, if we're talking about a little kid, and joining with your kid, that's in your control. So often, it's so hard. It's like a Dalai Lama move, right? You know, you walk in your kid's room and you might have front-loaded that, hey, we got to get in the car in 30 minutes. And before we get in the car to go to that cool jumpy thing or that movie theater or that bowling party that actually is for you, just asking you to clean your room, right? It might take 20 minutes. And maybe we need to chunk that down even further, which we could talk more about as well. If you go in there and they're on a video game, it is almost insane and impossible, right, not to lose your stuff. However, if we quickly took 30 seconds and we're like, oh, what's that game all about, right? What are you doing? Oh, really? Killing zombies? Oh, that's kind of cool. Oh, GTA? I'm not sure. You should probably be playing Grand Theft Auto. Depends on the age, right? Or WoW. Pretty amazing at this game, as much as I hate this game. Whatever the heck it is, you're going to get a little bit more done because now you're joining with them. You could still say, hey, just so you know, we do need to get in the car. You're supposed to be cleaning your room. I'm glad that we at least had this moment, right, to connect around Grand Theft Auto or killing zombies or whatever the heck it is. Come on, let's get on to the thing now. So, and then you can redirect there. So joining with your kid, expressing interest, right? Validating where they're at. Open-ended questions are huge, right? So many of the kiddos that I've treated for, oh my God, since 2002 when I became a licensed clinical social worker have had ADHD, right? And the ADHD brain, it takes a lot for them to manage the archaic school system that was built basically to get kids out of factories, right? So we still have this old school institutionalized educational, kind of system, right? That's really hard for kids to be sitting in desks all day long. And when they come home at 2:45 or 3:30, they basically implode and the wheels come off, right? So if you have that child who's walking in the door and literally it's like, oh my God, they look like a wet blanket and they're just like half of their stuff is already outside and inside. And so you could have some empathy, right? That doesn't mean we allow them to basically turn your house into a Goodwill and look like a homeless shelter, so to speak. However, we can still allow a little decompression there. That's a choice. And then we can come back to them after they've had 30, 40 minutes and be like, hey, get that you had a really hard day. That being said, it would mean a lot to me if you could kind of go pick up everything that basically you just left behind you. It's like a trail, right? So again, all of those things are really going to make shift happen for you and your family culture, right? We've all arrived in these family cultures, meaning where we are today, right? If we think about what are the norms of our culture, how do we just navigate? If there was an alien that showed up and kind of observed this is what a family is like, right? What would they feel? What would be their take homes, right? What is normal in terms of communication? Is conflict suppressed? Are issues pushed up or down, right? Can we yell and scream? Are there boundaries? Are there no boundaries? Is there self-awareness? So we really want to think about ourselves as the architects of our culture. It's kind of like Guardians of the Galaxy, right? That movie. We're the guardians of our family culture. And so if we leave anything that's in our circle of control just for granted, or we just abdicate it, then we're not really moving our family to the highest level of functionality. And trust me, I make a bazillion mistakes. I leave a lot of healthy culture out on the dance floor, so to speak. There's things that along the way I've had to really shift. My wife and I have had to really have some tough conversations with ourselves, with each other, with our kids. We're always kind of auditing our family's wellness, right? And if you think about a bank account, things are in the black and things are in the red. So we really want to try to never let the relationship go into the red, right? It may never always be in the black. Self-care as parents, you're probably like, what the hell is that? That should not be in the red either, right? That should be probably not in the black, let's be real, if we're parents, but we should do a better job, and that's in our circle of control, because if we're not adding back wax, right? If you think about a candle that's burning at both ends with double wicks, if we have no wax left, we're really going to be of no use to our partner, of no use to our kids. So I hope you really spend time on this exercise, really, again, down to the cellular level. Look at all the things that you can control. Having the sex ed talk, believe it or not, is in your circle of control. Being clear with your kids about your expectation around vaping, around drinking, around drugging, helping them to know that even if they get into the crap, let's say, and they're in a really unsafe situation, that the door is always open, right? Creating a healthy buffer between your reactions and their current choice in your circle of control. So just the other day, I'll tell you a story about a family I'm coaching. They came in with two dynamically different perspectives, two dynamically different upbringings. I mean, one was very traditional, felt like kind of 1950s Leave It to Beaver type culture around talking about things and processing emotions. And so they're more of an ostrich family, right? More of kind of put their heads in the sand. And trust me, there's actually some healthy stuff about that too, because the other family culture is everything's out kind of in the open, right? It's like lot of conflict, heavy conflict, lot of high emotionalities. They're kind of like emotional hemophiliacs. They kind of like feel to death, right? And so guess what? These parents are incredibly split. So one of the things that I help them do, which is in their circle of control, is to spend a lot of time creating that co-culture. What is their new culture that they're going to originate, right? How do they originate a new normal? It can't be that the father, who's kind of the more ostrich dude, exit stage left, and the mom is kind of in the trenches all by herself. And granted, I think, as I had intimated earlier, she's a little too fried chicken. She's overreactive and gets too involved over every little thing. So she has to step out and he has to step in. And there's a way to do that. There's a way for them to get in a better symbiotic, right, unison. There's a way for them to co-parent and to present a united front much better. There's different strengths. He might need to step in and ask her to take space, right? She might need to solicit and beckon him. And believe it or not, the kids initially are going to not know what the heck is going on because this is a really new thing. And it's probably going to exacerbate their acting out because it is so novel. And they're going to try to take it down because it's still unfamiliar. But little things like that, being a more active dad or mom, being a less active mom or dad, giving space for your partner to step up, catching your kids being good, catching your partner being good. Actually reinforcing, hey, it was so awesome to see you step in there. That meant a lot to me. And saying that out loud and expressing emotionalities and speaking about how you're feeling, right? There's a healthy dosage of emotionality that this family is getting to. It's so nice to hear this father, who was way more of an iceberg in terms of, burying his emotions, now be able to speak to them and actually be a bit more vulnerable and heart-centered. And it's awesome to see this mom create some space and not be kind of so sort of high energy or not take up so much space in the family. So you can make change today. This circle of control will really give you the lift off, and we'll spend more time in future sessions, future episodes, talking about, again, what is the specific shift and how you can move from good to great. But spend some time today, and I just want you to take advantage of one little thing in your circle and really focus on that over the next week. I look forward to connecting in our next episode. Hey everyone, Thomas here. 2 quick things. First off, it means the world to me that you took the time to listen to my podcast. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Number 2, while you were listening to the show, who was the one person that you thought could really benefit from this episode? And please share it with them. Also, if you haven't already, please sign up for my mailing list so you can get instant access to my free community. Here you will be able to connect with other parents in similar situations, as well as access my regular Q&A sessions where you can ask me anything and get headed in the right direction. The link is in the description.